their coffee delivery. What's going on, man?
I brought you two internationally renowned women a treat for International Women's Day.
Thanks, Dad. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Pops.
And guess what I found?
What'd you find?
Ta-da!
Where was it?
On the floor.
Of the truck?
Right here, yes.
Perfect. Well, I'm gonna need it to move some equipment a little later.
Okay. You girls get back to work.
Thanks. You happy you got your coffee?
All much needed after my day.
Mm.
It's been a long day.
Well, we have some filming to do, so get caffeinated. And then I gotta move some equipment.
All right, let's do this.
Say caca. Mm.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Truck Talk Thursday.
Cheers, babes. Should give a big shout out to you because you're my sister.
Honor.
There was a big woman shout out this week to mamas and sisters and daughters.
Our besties, all of them.
All the lovely women. in
All
the
women
world.
around.
It was International Women's Day on March 8th. And, you know, I'm a proud girly girl.
Are ya?
Yeah, I am. I'm very fortunate though to be a woman in this day and age.
I agree.
I could not imagine being a woman 100 years ago, 200 years ago.
It'd be horrible. Can you imagine?
I don't know if it would. Yeah, I mean, it would be difficult. And you know what? I was told that once by a woman in the construction industry, and we were sitting visiting, and she said, "Can you imagine being a woman 40 years ago, 50 years ago,
Nope.
and not being able to do what you love to do right now?" It would definitely be a struggle.
Right.
So, and even knowing that women in Canada had the ability to vote only in 1918.
Well, no, in Quebec it was like 1940.
1940 was in Quebec.
That's insane. Like less than 100 years ago. They couldn't vote.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I mean, that's mind-blowing to me. And, you know, as I dabbled through the history books on Google the past few days, seeing, you know, all of the movements, even recently in the last 10 years, 5 years, year. I mean, we've come a long way.
Like they just elected their first vice president in the States. Female. It's insane.
It's pretty amazing. You know, I mean, I know that you are involved in comedy.
Yes, I am.
And I know that there has been some women comedians that have paved the way for you.
Oh, there's so many to start. You know, some of my biggest influences, I should say. I love Tina Fey. You know, she was the first female head writer on SNL, which is a big deal. Like before her, it was 40 years of no female head writers. And the one woman that got so close to becoming a female head writer was Gilda Radner. Unfortunately, Gilda passed away due to ovarian cancer. But, you know, she had her colleagues like Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi that wanted her to get that inside scoop of writing. And all the writers said, no, we'll just leave her as a performer, as an actress. And she did everything she could to get some of her sketches that she wrote in the show. And it wasn't until 40 years later where Tina worked her way up as a writer, senior writer, and then she applied and she beat out all the guys and became the first female head writer on SNL. And another influence of mine that I love so dearly is Ellen DeGeneres. You know, she has her talk show, and before she had her daily talk show, she had that sitcom in the early 90s, Ellen. And a lot of people don't know this, but the reason why the show got discontinued and canceled was she came out gay. And she left Hollywood for a while, and then she came back, and she became such an advocate for women's rights. I'm like, yeah, I'm gay, and I'm proud to say I am who I am.
Right.
And now she speaks everywhere and talks to women, just be true to who you are and own it. You know, and I love Ellen, you know, she plays Dory, as we both know. And, you know, so...
Dory off of Finding Nemo.
If anyone's
wondering who she's referring to.
And some of you tell me I'm a little Dory, so I'm owning that. But no, just those women and so many other women out in comedy, paved the way. Like, no, we could make men laugh as well, and we'd be just as funny as men can.
I mean, with your training the last 10 years, at different institutions in comedy, and even when you started your stand-up career and your improv career, I mean, were you ever in a situation where you felt that you were... insecure about your material or performing compared to the men? I remember there was a performance you had and you said you were the only women out of the 8 comedians that were on stage that night.
That is so scary. It's so scary because when I noticed I did sketch or improv, you work as a team. It's an ensemble. It's okay, look at each other, let's get through this. But when you're up there by yourself, completely different. And I think I shocked a lot of guys, because before we go on, you sit there, you have a drink, and they're like, oh, I hear there's a female going up. And I'm like, oh, awkward, that's me. And you feel more pressure to make them laugh more than anything. Especially my dad. My dad's a big fan of comedy, and Dad, he has his favorites. Dad loved John Candy and Belushi, and Dad's like, oh, there's got to be some good female comics out there. And I introduced him to Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, and he's like, okay, these women got game. They can have the guys run for their money. They're really talented, which is awesome. It gives me that boost.
Absolutely. And, every industry, within every industry, women have always had a journey.
Well, you have with your industry.
Absolutely. I mean, it... starting in agriculture, growing up on the farm.
Right.
Obviously, being a sandbox kid and wanting to grow up and just be like my dad, farming and driving trucks and...
Owning a big business.
There was one time I think I was 7 or 8 years old and all I wanted was a leather checkbook, and to know what that meant. I mean, I wish I could tell that little girl now, it's not all cut out to be...
just think about this.
Those checkbooks, let me tell you, that means you got bills to pay. So, but, it was interesting growing up with our mother, who was, a nurse, was also a woman that, was in the home, raised the children, took them to sports, did the groceries, ran after us.
She was super
managed the home. But at the same time, there was times where Dad wasn't always supportive with me operating equipment or me being around outside and I get it. It was busy. He had his employees. But I couldn't wait. I was chomping at the bit at such a young age. And it was Mom that was just go and do it. Honey, you can do anything you want. You want to drive a tractor, you drive a tractor. You want to have a business, have a business. You want to work in construction, work in construction. You want to drive diesel trucks, you drive diesel trucks. And this is coming from a woman that would never do any of those things.
No, she's a girly girl.
And very there's very feminine women that also
hello.
Hello. But I will say, every time that I didn't believe in myself, or every time that there was something that interested me, and I would talk to Mom about it, even as a young teenager and up into my early 20s, she would say to me, honey, you can do that. Honey, you can do whatever a man can do.
She never said you can't.
Never.
Not once.
She said, you'll figure it out. You just learn how to do it. And, that was that idea of, when I started within the construction industry, right out of university, I mean, it was huge. I mean, I was the only woman sales representative.
The only one?
Yeah,
I didn't even know
within Canada.
Wow.
And there was only 2 of us within North America. And
Damn.
the other woman had retired, and she was from Utah. And actually, there's an award named after her.
That's pretty cool.
And I met her at a banquet. And we spoke, and how she started within the construction industry and started selling equipment was, she was a single woman that had children, and she had to support her family. And she said, you do what you have to do. And she worked at the dealership. And anyways, I think about from when I began and was introduced from 2006 till now. I mean, it has been a journey as a woman within construction. And, it's unbelievable how things have evolved since then. But what I've been exposed to and what I've experienced, and there are things that, you know that you have to have your game face on. You have to be strong to get through. And when I have young women now in their teens and 20s, coming up to me and saying, how do I do what you do? I've spoken at different conferences and different events, and, the women that have worked more so in administration that want to, be more so like in the field, and, they don't have that confidence, or necessarily they don't think they have that support to be able to do that.
So would you say, like, if they were to ask you, like, I want to get into this, but, I don't know how to go about it, would you say don't take anything personal with certain aspects of the job?
No. I mean, if I would just say do it. I would say...
No, if there was, like, an incident, you're just like, don't take it personal. Like, just...
Oh, in regards to if there was incidents, or if there was roadblocks where you couldn't get to where you wanted to get to?
Right.
I mean, screw that. Like, I mean, my life has been constant roadblocks. And guess what you do when there's a roadblock? Pivot.
Pivot.
Pivot. Pivot. Pivot.
Bulldoze
because
through.
As a woman in male-dominated industries, you have to learn to pivot quick.
Oh, I get it.
When someone says no, you're like, okay, next door. Okay, next door. I mean, I am very grateful for the men that have supported me in my journey within construction. It's something, it's the industry that I do enjoy being in, and also having a business as well. It's knowing, like, my customers, like, they believe in me as they would, someone that is male. And it's, I would say, if I was to give some examples of difficult experiences, has been dealing with certain companies that, they're more traditional,
old school,
more conservative.
Right.
They are, the age of our father. It's the mentality that, per se, a woman doesn't belong,
I had that with school.
in this role. Yeah. So, for me, it was always, when I'd go into those meetings, it was being prepared, understanding, over preparing myself, and understanding, like, what type of questions that they're going to ask me, and if it was specifications or applications, or knowing that I did have, my colleagues on the line, basically on hold in my pocket, just so, to make sure I could answer anything right when I was there, because there has been 2 times that, I was asked to leave. And it was the first time I took it very personal. And
that's
I know
what I mean. Sometimes you shouldn't take it personal, but you do.
I do. I took it personally, but you know what I loved about that moment is that when I got out to my truck and the customer called my manager said, "I'm sorry, but you need to deal with that representative." and to feel that support, from I got you, and to be told you walk right back in there and deal with that customer, and to know like the whole demeanor changed.
Gain respect.
The respect was there. It was okay. Well, I'm going to give her a chance. And you can't. There's times, yeah, absolutely, that you feel alone, and it can be emotional.
You question if you want to do this and all that doubt.
Oh, 100%.
Insecurity.
I don't know how many times that I've got back in my truck going, I don't know how this relationship is going to grow. It's going to build, but literally, I just grew it with my word is my word. When I say something, I'm going to do it. And I built my clientele that way, and I built my own business that way.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, my experience within a male-dominated industry, I mean, I guess I've paved my own way, but I also pave it for young women. I'm involved with women in construction organizations, and, I'm the first person to tell a young woman, when they're talking about what they want to be, I'm like, have you ever thought of a trade? Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know if girls can do that. Why not?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a conversation that has to be had. I mean, it's 2021.
Exactly.
I mean, you know what it's like. You went to firefighting college in the States, and, I mean, the ratio with women to men was very, very unique. So how was your experience with your firefighting training?
When I walked in the first day, I saw that there was only 3 of us girls with 60 cadets. Lots of testosterone. And I remember this one chief, he sticks out in my mind simply because of the fact, like you said, he's very old school, very traditional. He had that mentality. Don't take it personally, but I don't think women should not be in this profession. And that was his opinion, and I respected that. And he's like, you will gain my respect if I shake your hand at graduation. You have to earn that respect. Oh, but the guys in front of me shook his hand, no problem. But just simply because he didn't think we were capable, he wouldn't shake our hand. And he did shake my hand at graduation. And like you said, like, you can prove yourself, but then you have to, like, go above and beyond to earn the respect.
100%.
Like, if they say study time is from 5 to 7, you're staying in that library from 5 to 10.
Right.
You got to go above and beyond just for them to consider respecting you, which was challenging, and I think it's really shaped me who I am today. Like, I find I'm a lot stronger, like, in every aspect, like, emotionally, mentally. I feel like if I can get through that atmosphere, I can get through anything. Like, it was insane. Like, I remember being in school and we'd have to do certain physical tasks, and I felt like my body was physically gonna give up, and it was 100-degree weather, and I'm in like 60-pound bunker gear, and he grabbed my helmet and he was just like, you're past the physical point, it's all mental now. Your body's telling you can't do it. It's all mental. You can do it. And that stays with me with everything now, especially being in aquatics. It's like, okay, I'm just physically tired, I'm not mentally tired yet, I can still go. And that stayed with me to this day, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
5 years later.
It's a good crazy, though.
It's a good crazy.
I will say, and, I touched on it with that story, with having a colleague, a manager, that is male, supporting me when another male doesn't believe that they can work alongside with a woman. Mm-hmm. And, like I said, it's very important for women to stick together.
Oh, yeah.
Work together, build each other and support each other. But honestly, the men that have supported me and have believed in me,
been by your side,
when I didn't believe in myself, and it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me, like, how things have changed and are continually changing.
Oh, I know.
Even when I'm, like, now, years later, like, I've been in the industry and construction for quite a long time, and to see a lot of men, working alongside with their daughters, and their daughters are operating equipment, and their daughters are, and then they're jumping in the office, and they're running the accounting for their fathers or their and their husbands. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many deals that I have done where it's a husband and wife team, and it's so cute when
It's
the guy
awesome.
is like, well, you better go talk to the boss, and you walk in there and there's his wife or his mother, and we sit down and we do the deal.
Mama hen.
And it's amazing. And I see that a lot, and it is teamwork, and it's
Sticking by
the
each other's
equality,
side.
it's that belief. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a proud woman, and I've also I'm very grateful for everyone that's been there. I'm also to also be a woman athlete that grew up in the sport of hockey. Not having a women's hockey team until I was almost in high school. It took a hockey mother in our community that started our organization locally, and now the league is thriving, and I mean, it's like I've said this before on a truck talk, but being the only girl on a hockey team, I mean, it's tough. I mean, on any sports team.
I tried out for football in grade 9. I was the only girl.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Remember? It was really confusing for the guys when I was wearing a helmet and was wearing a jersey, and the guys haven't even hit puberty yet. So they're like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hi," and they're like, "Who's that?" Like, it took them off guard. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So, anyways, no, it was, this week, we're celebrating women. And also, I mean, as most of you know, that has been watching any type of media, there was a big interview with Oprah and Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. And that was a big interview.
That was
that's not something we're going to dissect into, but I will say, and everyone has their different viewpoints on it, but there is a strong woman right there that spoke her truth. And
broke her silence.
Whatever your viewpoint is on that is your opinion. And I don't want to get into having an opinion conversation here today, but there is situations that people go through within families, business, relationships.
All dynamics
where women have had a difficult time speaking up. I know that I've been in certain situations that I felt that I couldn't speak my truth.
Right.
And, that was very empowering to...
Well, you don't know the consequences at the end of the day, right? And I think it took a toll on her mentally. It can take a toll. Any situation that kind of strong and dynamic can affect you mentally and emotionally, because if you're not able to speak up, it will affect you.
Right.
So,
I know that there has been situations in my life where, I've kept quiet. Mm-hmm. I have been silenced, I guess you'd say, to the point where it's affected my mental health. And to have, like, it's like the Me Too movement. It's like all of these women that have come forward with things that have happened to them. There's a lot of different movements, and, no women never ever wanted to talk about certain things, like cruel things that have happened to them.
right.
And now it's women like that have the courage that, that pave that path for women for the future. And, that's why...
Women that are still struggling behind the scenes.
Right. So I give props to Meghan for speaking her truth. That's something that must have been very difficult for her to do if she was struggling, like, mentally, to that degree.
And her husband, he stood by her side.
So...
support.
Yeah, just wanted to touch on that there today.
Mm-hmm.
But to all the to all the women out there, just keep on doing your thing. Help each other, grow
Support.
and support. I mean, we started this platform, you know, Farm Girl Strong Canada. And yes, we have a lot of male followers, but, you know, the idea is that, you know, we support one another. And if we don't do that, then where are we going to be?
Exactly, in the next 20 years. We don't know.
Yeah. Well,
That was a big talk.
I think that's it for today. Okay, but we want to talk about next week because we will be having our first guest.
Stay tuned.
We are pretty excited to bring in our first guest, and we'll keep that a surprise. But you know, tune in next Thursday, and we appreciate all of the likes and follows and shares. And if you could subscribe to this YouTube channel, underneath there's a subscribe button, and we would really appreciate that. Okay.
Okay.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you later.